Oh, I'm probably not gonna upload this to anything, but I just need to get some shit off my chest. So I'm gonna do this in video form. Maybe not even going to listen to it after. Probably have a terrible accent, but that's okay. That's fine. So I have to take a gap year from my study, of course. That sucks. But it's necessary. Because guess what? I have ADHD, which is kind of obvious. First of all, my room is a mess. I'm currently doing one, two, three, four things at the same time. Um, I am, as you might be able to see, moving quite a lot. Okay, so that kind of sucks, but from the amount of videos I've seen, it can also be a positive thing, so that's nice. So, if I actually do decide to upload some stuff, I can easily just boom, put an edit there, annotations there, and oh, I just realized I'm filming this with a phone, and if it's going to go on YouTube, they probably want me to do this. And if I do that, then it has to be like this. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. See, because on YouTube, people get really annoyed when you just do it the other way. So that's fun. Yay. Okay. So ADHD, it's a big deal. It's a fucking big deal. Oh, I swear. Because you see, I didn't know I had it, but it was obvious. Because you see, my big sister has it, or rather the ADD form. My little sister has it, and my mom probably does. So I probably should have seen it coming, but I think I've just chosen to ignore it, because it's just not something you really want to admit to yourself. I mean, I've had a fight with an ex about that shit, I just want to be like, fuck you, I'm not like that, but I am. Also, because I have ADHD, I suck at a lot of things. For example, work did not go well. Talk about that later, maybe not. School, obviously not, because I have to take a gap year. Well, you see, I got the diagnosis because of school. Because you see, I live in the Netherlands. Maybe you can hear that from the accent, probably. I've been told that people get pretty good at recognizing that kind of stuff. Anyway, it went bad, but not completely. Because you see, where I live in the Netherlands, you have this thing where you have different levels of education. So you see, at primary school, you just perform decent or bad or good, whatever. And if you perform really well, you can go like what they call the VWO, VWO, which is like high society stuff. If you go to HAVO, you're like in the middle of the road, and VMBO is for the more practical people, the engineers and the fucking whatever, electricians. So what that comes down to is if you're uh, pretty smart, but you have ADHD, then you'll probably perform good enough. And what does good enough mean? Well, that just means that you don't really notice that you have ADHD, except for the obvious parts like social life and personal and that kind of stuff. But at a certain point, you just, because you can jump in someone else's head, you just start to see like that's just me, that's just how I am. And certainly with a family with so many people who have the same, issues, you don't really feel like you're being special or you should see something or someone. And I kind of knew that my sisters had that disorder, but it just didn't mean anything to me. So I didn't do anything with it. Anyway, so then secondary school came around, or high school, or whatever you want to call it. In the Netherlands, it's either 4, 5, or 6 years, but it was 6 for me because I had to do 1 year over, which is again because of the ADHD. Because of my ADHD, I couldn't learn, I couldn't study at all. When I discussed the whole having ADHD thing with my mum, she brought up this example where a friend I used to have who had or probably still has autism. He performed really well on like a project we had to do together. He made like 10 pages or whatever, like a really long fucking thing, and I just had like 1 or 2 pages with minimal effort. And it wasn't because I didn't want to do effort, it was just like I thought that was good, you know. I just answered the questions that had to be answered and done, because I couldn't do more. I couldn't, and I still can't, which is, you know, the problem, because at certain points I can a little bit, like for example, really late in the evening, you know, when I've postponed, I might be able to do like half an hour, 45 minutes of work, and that's special. That's good. That's pat on the back, good, you know. And I've been able to get through high school with that attitude because I was really good at just sucking up things that I found interesting. And what do you know? I find quite a lot of things interesting. So, you know, and with our high school, at a certain point, you can just choose to skip kind of subjects you don't find interesting. So, for example, in math, you had the difficult kind of math and the sort of difficult kind of math, and I just picked the easier one because I was like, yeah, I can do that, you know. And that way, I just dropped whatever I didn't find really interesting, and just I was left with the things I found interesting enough. And when that wasn't enough to successfully go down that year, I just did it again. And because, you know, I suck in information, I succeeded that year. And in the final year, there wasn't that much new, so I was good. But then, you know, in America, you say college or whatever, what comes after high school for you begins. And all of a sudden, you have to learn, or you have to make projects, or you have to do a fuck ton of work, is what I'm saying. And, well, the thing is, I couldn't, I'm not able to. And because, you know, when you go to college, you go for a kind of thing you find interesting, you know, maybe science, maybe computers, or whatever, what you find interesting. And the thing was, I want to be a teacher, still do. So whatever subject I got, I found interesting. So I sucked in the information, you know, hyper-focused, and that was just great. But then, the more you are at a certain education thingamajig, the more you need to do, the more projects you have, etc., etc. And that's where the problems began, because I can't focus at all. Like, I can't. I can game, I can watch series, I can do bits and pieces, but because I've never learned to cope with the fact that I do have ADHD, I can't just do a project. I have to do it or at the last minute or not at all. And that's not good. That's not what you can't. That's like, that's it. That's all. And the stupid thing is, because I get very chaotic in my head and just skip things, there was a certain point at which I just didn't fill in the correct applications to do certain exams, and that was just really bad as well. Anyway, this is like first part of maybe a lot, maybe nothing, maybe everything about me, because I have ADHD and I need to learn to live with it, which is very difficult. because I've been told I'm a handful, and I'm speaking very calmly at this point. So I'm just going to speak at my thought level for just a smidge of time, so you can just get a grasp of how busy it is up there. I don't know if any ADHDers have to just reel themselves in, but I do. So let's go, and that'll be like at the end, that little ramble, and then just done. Alright, here we go. I really like watching like a little music or watching series. I've watched series of Friends a couple of times. I watched it twice now, and it's really good. It's with a lot of great characters, and I watched it with all by myself, particularly because I don't really get friends who also watch the same show, and so I can't really talk about the show Friends, which sucks. So maybe I can talk to people online that would watch Friends, but I've never really gone into forums, and it's just really difficult, and I just don't know how to do that, and I don't know how to organize myself into just looking at the right places and looking at the right places to do that, and it's just really difficult for me, and I can't really talk fast properly in English because it's just more difficult because I have to think about everything I say a bit, and even though I talk very fast in my head, it's still a little bit of a process, so it makes it more difficult. And yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to do for now. I don't know what to do with this. Maybe I'll just upload it because I have like 3 subscribers at this point, so who the fuck cares? It's not really just, yeah, no one really. I don't presume they do. Like, who wants to watch an 11-minute video about someone they do not know? I mean, I do that kind of, but whatever.